I was sincere about giving Rosanna a hand. Any award associated with this body of reporting really belongs to her and to the survivors of sexual harassment and sexual assault who were brave enough to speak. And, you know, it's easy for us all to mythologize that as these great warrior women who rode into battle and were ready to fight, and that was all true in the end. But at the beginning of my conversations with Rosanna, she just used the word terrified, and she was. And each and every person in this story was. And then she found in herself exactly what I just described. She was a warrior. And I will be grateful to you, Rosanna, for the rest of my life. And our society should be grateful to you forevermore. Thank you, truly. That said, the idea of a solidarity award, the idea that men have to be a part of this conversation, is also important. This story has revealed so much about the evil of men, the crimes, the abuse of power, the men who preyed upon the vulnerable, the men who maintained a veil of silence around that predation. But it is also true, and I saw it firsthand, that men played an indispensable role in breaking the silence and making sure the Harvey Weinstein stories saw the light of day after so many decades. A community of reporters, women and men alike, going back decades, fought tooth and nail for this. That includes Ken Oletta of The New Yorker, who came so close 15 years ago, didn't quite get it there, and then in the present day, opened up his books to me and helped push me forward in my reporting. That included Ben Wallace of New York Magazine, who, if any of you read that piece I wrote on espionage, you know he was targeted by fake sources, he was psychologically profiled, he was intimidated, and he didn't quite get there either. But he also pushed me along as I went. That includes David Remnick of The New Yorker, who rescued this piece. He does deserve a hand. He proved to me that courage still exists in journalism. And without him, we might not be having this conversation today. And it also includes a man who's sitting here today, Rich McHugh, my stalwart producer. He is an unsung hero of this entire story. He stood by for interview after interview and refused to back down even when he was told to stop. And he had to think about his little girls to support, and he kept going, and he wouldn't be intimidated. So he deserves your applause too. This belongs to him. You know, I spent almost a year having conversations with women about the most difficult and painful secret of their lives. And in those conversations, over and over again, they would tell me, in the cocktail of incredibly difficult and complicated reasons why they hesitated to speak, that men were a factor. They would say, I'm afraid to tell my brother, I'm afraid to tell my husband, I'm afraid to tell my father. I heard this over and over like clockwork. And I remember at the very end of this reporting process, a couple of months ago, having a conversation with another brave woman, Asia Argento, the actress, when she told me how much her partner's opinion would mean to her, the TV personality Anthony Bourdain, and that she was going to consult him about this. And I sat there apprehensive, thinking I was going to hear the same story over again. Another male partner who said, don't speak, it's not worth it. And instead, Anthony Bourdain went to her and said, I'm going to give you every ounce of strength I have, and you should talk, and I will be there for you if you do. And he does deserve a cheer for that. I still get emotional thinking about that, because it did prove that there's another way, that all of the aiding and abetting and all the people that kept this quiet who were men are not the whole story. And if we want to see more conversation about this and more speaking truth to power, it's going to take all of us, of both genders, and more people like him, like the other men that I just named, to stand in the way of those who would silence and abuse. Thank you so much, all of you, for being a part of that very conversation.